Pro wrestling is a really unpredictable, wild, untamed beast. The winds of change, they can change and sway in any direction on any given day. Today is one of those days. Dr. Britt Baker. We all know that she's had problems with AEW. We all know that AEW has had problems with Britt Baker. And today it was revealed and reported that Britt Baker is seeking an early release from her AEW contract. I got the latest on Britt Baker asking for her release with a very strong opinion behind it. And if you're an AEW sicko, I can't wait for you all to immediately start the negativity campaign in regards to Britt Baker, where 3 or 4 years ago, everybody was glazing Britt Baker like a fucking Krispy Kreme donut. I can't wait for all these people to turn over a blind eye and now go against the good doctor. I got the latest on that. And Tony Khan, apparently he's announced where All In next year is taking place. And like a fool, he thinks he's going back to Wembley Stadium with the same results as he got the first 2 years. He went and brought All In to the United Kingdom. I got the latest on all that right here on Off the Script. It is your Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. I am not the biggest Britt Baker fan. I think that much is very well known and has been documented. Have I spoken to Britt personally? I have. Have I apologized to Britt Baker for some misunderstandings in the past? I have. Has Britt reached out to me in a completely friendly and non-wrestling way when Bacardi passed away last year? She did, and I greatly appreciate that. And today, that still sticks with me. So I love the fact that she did that. It shows that she's a real, genuine human being. I am not the biggest Britt Baker fan from an in-ring aspect from what we see on television. If you don't think you could still make money with Britt Baker on television in 2025, you should not be in the pro wrestling business, period. Simple. This woman has been off TV since last November. October, November-ish. The last thing I remember seeing is that Britt Baker was set to feud with Serena Deeb, and the fabled words on that night were, "Nobody cares. Nobody cares." Please tell me where Britt Baker was actually telling a lie. She's been off TV since. Before that, she got suspended for a backstage altercation with MJF and his fiancée, Alicia Atout. Nobody knows what happened there. Things were said. I don't know if it had anything to do with the fact that she just got back and she was already criticizing the current direction of the product. It was around the time where MJF and Will Ospreay went out on Dynamite 250 and gave us a 60-minute Broadway. Who would complain about that? I don't know, which resulted in one of the best matches that the company's ever put on. I don't know why anybody would complain about that. If you want the company to grow, those are the types of guys that need to be in those positions and on television. I get it. But you can look at it from Britt Baker's point of view as well. I just come back and these guys are getting 60 minutes. Nothing's really changed around here, and we're still operating this fucking show with one woman's match that barely gets 7 minutes. I get it. I get it. But you voice your opinion there and you speak up. No, man. You're going to go to Guantanamo Bay. And the key is going to be thrown away and you'll never be heard from again. There have been problems. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Thunder Rosa and everything that happened with that. Jesse and I got involved with that. And there was a whole blow up on social media. I don't need to go over it. I don't need to call back to that. You guys know what happened. Wrestling fans spent part of their day on Tuesday and continue to do so trying to decode the latest social media post from Dr. Britt Baker, who seemingly implied that her value in All Elite Wrestling is no longer what it was when she inked a 5-year contract extension towards the tail end of 2021. If I can find the tweet or the Instagram post that she put up, in a very cryptic manner. I'll put it in the video. It was the latest clue that Britt Baker and AEW may be headed towards a split. And Bodyslam.net has now reported that Britt Baker is actively seeking an early release from the company. Furthermore, the report indicates that those in AEW are under the impression there would be interest from WWE to sign her should she hit free agency. As things currently stand, AEW isn't looking to release Britt Baker from her contract. The internal belief is that they don't want any upcoming WWE Pittsburgh shows to be announced, as well as Evolution to pass before letting anything move forward. WWE just held a joint Raw and SmackDown taping from Pittsburgh at the PPG Paints Arena this past Monday. They also taped SmackDown there to give everybody a taped show on Friday so that the talent may go home and celebrate the 4th of July with their friends and family. So they did this show, this double taping from Pittsburgh this past Monday, so it may be some time before the company makes a return to Pittsburgh. Evolution, in the meantime, is set for next weekend on July 13th, Sunday, from Atlanta, and that is going to be a part of a massive WWE takeover in the city, which will and has been used to counter-program AEW All in Texas, which is ridiculous, because if you look at the NXT card that they just put up for the Great American Bash, I don't know. No matter your problem with the AEW product, I don't know who's going to watch that show over All in Texas. I just don't understand it. It's like WWE basically put no effort into it, and their cards and emotions are really showing for what they are doing in Atlanta. As far as Britt Baker's desire to leave AEW, the word from Bodyslam.net is that she feels there's nothing left keeping her there, and that the environment in the company has changed around her. There's currently no timeline. I'm sure fans are going to take that completely out of context and blame Britt Baker for it. Changed around her. The environment has changed around her. There's currently no timeline on when things between both parties may get resolved. Once again, please keep it tuned, says Bodyslam.net. I want to choose my words wisely. I know a lot of people are going to blame Britt Baker. I know it's easy to blame Britt Baker. She hasn't been in the public spotlight for most of the all year, actually. It's July 2nd. Haven't heard a fucking word from her. I think the most that I've seen from her is her promoting DraftKings with $250 in bonus bets. That's it. She's been out of sight, out of mind. She's minded her own business. We don't know what that woman's been through in her personal life with the injury and the ailments that she had to get back into ring shape, to get her body right, and continue to pursue professional wrestling. We don't know what happened with Adam Cole. None of our fucking business. I just hope everybody is healthy and happy. As should you. We don't know what that woman's got going on in her life. She's obviously dedicated her life to pro wrestling and to her dental practice. She's not giving up pro wrestling to go full-time as a dentist. And she's not taking away from dentist to be a pro wrestler. She very much wants to be a professional wrestler. She loves professional wrestling. A lot of people are going to blame Britt Baker for everything that has transpired and to where we are right now. I've said it once, I'm going to say it again. If Britt Baker was in WWE and Britt Baker was in a company with proper management, with proper leadership, everything that you seen, everything that you heard, and everything that you read about Britt Baker would be a non-issue in WWE. 100% factual information. Britt Baker's not going to go out there and fucking have Thunder Rosa running for her life and scared and crying and all the bullying tactics that were used in AEW's women's locker room. None of that would fly in WWE. CM Punk is a great example of this. Have you heard anything coming out of the WWE in regards to any negativity about CM Punk? No. Do you hear anything in WWE about a volatile locker room or an environment backstage that is not one the talent wants to be in? No. It's because WWE is a business run by people who know how to run a business with a business mindset, and that is a locker room that is welcoming, that a locker room like that treats everyone as equal. You all band together and are on the journey together. No one is better than the other. Are there rifts between talent? Is there envious situations and jealousy between talent? Of course there is. That's just a common thing in life. A common thing in life. But if Britt Baker was in WWE, none of these things that you've heard over the last 5 years would be a fucking issue. None of them. I am not wiping the slate clean for Britt Baker. I am not sitting here telling her that she's completely innocent or telling you that she's completely innocent. I'm not. Everything that has happened has been a result of poor management and poor leadership. She was allowed to get away with what she got away with because there was no management and there was no leadership in place. Tony Khan is not a real leader. If Tony Khan was a real leader, things like Britt Baker and the Colt Cabana thing with CM Punk, the CM Punk thing with Adam Page, the CM Punk thing with the Elite, and Sammy and Andrade, or Andrade and whoever, and Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara, and all the things that we heard throughout the years. None of these things would have happened with proper leadership in place in AEW. Tony will never admit it. The talent is taking advantage of him. The talent knows that they're taking advantage of him, and he does nothing to stop it. He just lets it happen. Because Tony wants to be a best bud. Tony wants to be a friend. Tony wants to invite everybody back to the fucking hotel room or back to the hotel bar, and he wants to open up a fucking 12-pack of White Claw with everybody and celebrate his geekdom for pro wrestling. Meanwhile, they're only there to use his platform to get a bigger star and to get as much money as possible and then move on to their next venture in life. It's what everybody is there for. The only people that exist in AEW right now are the people that WWE let go and they had nowhere else to go. That's it. And the people that are currently there that are like MJF and like Britt Baker and Wardlow and a bunch of other people there, Ricky Starks, for example. They're only there biding their time because you all know that they're going to suck Tony Khan so dry of every dollar they can before they make their way over to WWE. They know it. Tony knows it. Britt knows it. Tony is not a real leader. Tony's not a real businessman. And he's never going to show you any sort of change whatsoever from that mentality. So when Britt says the company has changed around her, the company has changed around her and gotten worse since she was last there. Or maybe nothing's changed at all. I don't see any change in Tony Khan. I don't. But everybody seemingly is going to glaze Tony and pretend Tony's doing great and everything's great. And Tony's on these fucking interviews saying that AEW is the best it's ever been. This is the best version of AEW in 2025 than in any other year we've been in business. Stop bullshitting me. No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't know how you could say that. Looking at where you've been, just based on the last 3 years of All In, you go from 72,000 to 50,000, and you're not even at 20,000. How you look at that, but code it in a way where they did a $2.5 million gate. It's the largest non-WWE gate on American soil. You just decreased your fucking attendance from 72 to 20,000. And you're celebrating that as if it's some sort of victory. I don't know why AEW would not treat Britt Baker the same way they treated Ray Phoenix, Penta, and Ricky Starks. If AEW could let them go, because Tony clearly wasn't using them and had no desire to use them, why is it that he won't let Britt Baker go? We all know he's not going to use Britt Baker. We all know that his infatuation with Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné is just so rich that I think he forgot who was there at the very beginning to even give them an opportunity to get back on television. He is so blinded by what is going on right now. He has used them to a point where he doesn't feel like they bring anything to the table anymore. I don't know how you look at Britt Baker and don't find a spot for her on television. A good business mind would take this situation with Britt Baker and make it into a fucking storyline. But they don't have talented, creative minds backstage in AEW enough to turn this real-life situation and this real-life frustration into a fucking storyline that is worth watching on a week-to-week basis. They don't have it within them to do that. That would be the first thing that comes to mind. I don't know why you're paying this woman to sit at home and do nothing. Like, I get Tony Khan is a billionaire, and what Britt's making, he could probably fucking piss it away on his father's super yacht. Why are you actively paying somebody to keep them at home and keep them cold? You do realize that this doesn't work. What are you so concerned about? Are you concerned about Britt Baker's mental health? Are you concerned about what this is doing to her mental health while she sits at home wanting to professionally wrestle? Did you care about Ricky Stark's mental health when he went on Chris Van Vliet and didn't understand why he wasn't getting a phone call, why he wasn't being used? Did you care about Ray Phoenix's mental health and the reason why he went on social media to voice his frustrations? Because nobody in that company would be bothered to listen to him. And then Penta had to keep his mouth shut just for the sake that he didn't get to where his brother was. Because he knew he was on his way out. He knew he had one foot out the door, and he didn't want to end up in Guantanamo Bay like his brother did with an added fucking year on top of his contract. How do you think Wardlow's mental health is? To know that Tony doesn't find any value in him on AEW television, but fucking American Gladiators has given him a spot. Does Tony find himself concerned with Camille's mental health? Where's she been? All these fucking dirt sheets want to say, oh, she's got a TV project. But you didn't fucking tell me what happened to the last 7 months of inactivity and why she's off television. American Gladiators started filming in June. What happened to the first 6 months of the year? I don't know why you're paying this woman to sit at home. It's a waste of payroll. You could actively release Britt Baker and not pay her and put that money towards somebody else who's more deserving or a new talent to bring on in to replace Britt Baker that you will actually use. And to go back to what I said, keeping them on ice and keeping them in Guantanamo Bay and under contract to just keep them out of sight, out of mind, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You think by actively keeping these people on ice is going to remove them from the public eye. Meanwhile, Ricky Starks could show up on fucking NXT television and reheat all of that fucking hype in 5 minutes. Blake Monroe did it. And everybody else that's going to be released. Phoenix did it. Penta did it. What are you so concerned about? What are you so concerned about? Let Britt Baker go. Give her to WWE. Or is this more than just letting Britt Baker go to let her go and do what she wants to do? I find it very difficult to believe that this is such a difficult decision to make. Let her go. Or is it just like everybody else? Jade Cargill, bigger star than she was in AEW. Ricky Stark's going to be a bigger star in WWE than he was in AEW. Blake Monroe, going to be a bigger star in WWE more so than she was in AEW. Are you really afraid of letting all of your talent go to WWE for them to be bigger stars, which in turn shows you that Tony Khan and AEW don't have the capability of building new stars. That you're afraid they're going to be treated bigger and better and used better in WWE than you did. Nothing's stopping you from using Britt Baker. I don't know why you can't use Britt Baker on television in a meaningful way. And for all the AEW sickos out there who are already claiming, oh, Britt Baker is not a great wrestler, her body of work is terrible, she's overrated, she sucks, and all this other nonsense. Britt Baker's not the Bret the Hitman Hart of the women's division in AEW. I never got that sense from Britt Baker. Could she be better? Sure. Could I be better at creating content? Sure. Could you be better fucking dipping the fucking fries into the oil at McDonald's? Absolutely. These people do nothing but spread negativity on social media when something like this happens. Tribalism rears its toxic, ugly head. These people were so vehemently for Britt Baker 3 years ago, and now that she wants out of AEW and doesn't want to be a part of their team anymore, now she sucks. The vicious cycle begins all over again. But you know, just like I know, that these people are mental. This woman was a centralized figurehead of the women's division in AEW, and without Britt Baker, women's wrestling in AEW isn't where it is today. It isn't. And if you look at that Thunder Rosa feud and that Thunder Rosa match during the pandemic, and you don't look at it as the biggest highlight in that women's division in 5.5 years, then you are fucking mental. Without Britt and Thunder Rosa doing what they did, no other opportunities for the women exist in that company. They were the ones to lay the foundation. They were the ones to lay the groundwork for everybody else that went and did what they did. Just like Bayley and Sasha set the groundwork in Brooklyn for what women's wrestling is today. Without them, it's not where it is today. So maybe you should start showing appreciation for Britt Baker instead of going on social media and spreading all this fucking negativity. And who showed up to work every single fucking week during the pandemic in front of empty fucking Daly's place to give you her little skit that she did? I forgot the name of it. The appointment room or whatever the fuck it was. She was there every single week in the middle of a pandemic to show up on television to entertain us while the entire world went dark. And that's the way you want to treat her. The IWC, the levels of toxicity that exist there, it legitimately it drives you insane. I don't know how you don't use this woman on television in a meaningful way, even though she doesn't want to be there. Like, use her. No, but that's too difficult. He doesn't want Britt's star to grow. He doesn't want Britt to be showcased in front of the world. He doesn't want Britt to be more valuable to WWE, because that's eventually where she's going to end up. Let me tell you something, Tony. Everybody's eventually going to end up in WWE. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. AEW isn't a fucking place where people immediately want to jump to anymore. Vince isn't running WWE anymore. Triple H is in charge. The environment is changed. It has nothing to do with the on-screen product, because they're fucking boring, just like you're boring as well. The environment has changed. The schedule has changed. It's lighter. It's more accommodating for the talent. I don't understand why you make the decisions that you make with Britt Baker and everybody like this in this situation. Do you know what you're doing at the end of the day? You are doing more harm than good for not only the reasons that I mentioned, but imagine being a day one in AEW and being literally thrown out and not valued anymore. How does that resonate with the locker room? You don't look at Tony Khan in a different way? How do you think he values pro wrestlers? This woman started a fucking foundation in this division only to be tossed to the side. Who wants to deal with that? How do you look at that in a good way? Knowing that he's treated talent the way that he's treated over the last 6 to 12 months with the names that I mentioned, why would you ever want to work with AEW, Tony Khan, and the fucking bloated roster that they have, knowing that you may get an opportunity, and if you say something, if you get out of line and do something they don't like, you're fucking done. You mention Cody Rhodes, you're done. You mention CM Punk, you're done. You mention something that goes against their political beliefs, you're done. You speak out about how things work there, you're done. Who would want to sign there? Who would want to work there? Let her go. Let her go. You let Phoenix go, you let Penta go, you let Starks go. Why isn't Britt allowed to go? She's been on ice long enough. You got 3 guys that you let go. You're not going to let her go. Why? Because she's a female? What difference does that serve? That she's a female and the other ones that you let go were male. Everybody should be treated equal. You didn't want to use any of them. You don't want to use Britt. Let her go. That's my thoughts on that. Terrible situation. Terrible, terrible, terrible situation. They weren't going to release Britt this week. For what? For her to show up on NXT television while WWE is doing a super show in Pittsburgh? Or show up on Raw in Pittsburgh? Or SmackDown in Pittsburgh right before Evolution? Tony's not fucking stupid. Sure. But let her go, bro. Let her go. Use that effort. Use that money towards something else. You got all this fucking energy to keep her on the roster and keep her hidden away from everybody, not able to showcase her skills. You got so much energy to keep her on the roster. Use that same energy and let her go. Tony Khan confirms All In 2026. Even before All In Texas takes place on July 12th, the location for next year's event has already been confirmed. AEW President Tony Khan has revealed that the show will return to London, England, and Wembley Stadium. Now, unless he has Wembley Stadium already locked in, I don't know why he would even think about going back to Wembley Stadium. By the way, AEW pays the city of London to host these shows. London is not paying AEW to come and run a show at Wembley Stadium. Just a little word of advice there. It's not the WWE way of doing business. Tony pays the city. The city's not paying Tony. Because AEW isn't really in that demand. Speaking on the Rich Eisen show, Tony Khan explained why the event is in Texas this year and confirmed the plan to go back across the pond next year. It's going back to Wembley next year, by the way. Coldplay has booked this weekend out years in advance. I can't wait to do Globe Life Field in Dallas and go back to Wembley Stadium next year. I really don't understand his business mindset. I don't. I mean, I was at that first Wembley show. I paid out of my own pocket to fly, house myself, podcast myself, and buy a ticket to the fucking show. 73,000 people. I got vertigo sitting in that arena with the sheer amount of fucking bodies that were around me. Never been to something that made me feel that way in a live setting. The next year, I did not go because I said I experienced it once. I'm not going back again. The next year, they did what? 50 plus, 52,000 people. That is a big decrease. 20,000 people is a big decrease from year one going into year two. Now, year three, they're running it at Globe Life Field at a baseball stadium that houses 40,000 plus, and they're not even at 20,000 tickets sold yet, not knowing how many of them are comped. Because you know exactly that AEW is notorious for comping tickets. The interest isn't there, the excitement isn't there, and people are not willingly going out and spending money to go sit in the Texas heat outdoors to go watch fucking pro wrestling. AEW will probably accumulate close to 25,000. Yet you got the sickos out there who are claiming that this is some big success story. Oh, but it's a $2.5 million gate. It's the largest non-WWE gate on American soil. It's fantastic, man. Please move the goalpost back even further without actually realizing that you went from 73,000 people to 25,000 people, and AEW's home base is here in the United States. If you think going from 73,000 to 52,000 from one year to the next at Wembley is going to result in anything but positive, fans already got tired of the product from year one and year two. Now the product has gotten worse. There's no excitement. There's no buzz. There's no hype around the product. You expect that number to be around the same? I doubt AEW even does 40,000 going back to Wembley Stadium. And then at that point, is the microscope going to be that fucking big? Is the microscope going to be on AEW for having another $3 million gate? But we went from 72,000 to 40,000 back at Wembley Stadium. But it's a big success story. This is the same company that moved from arenas and stadiums to running bingo halls and music joints because they can't fill actual venues anymore. This is the same company that is now holding residencies, week-long residencies in cities because they can't fill arenas and venues around the United States. So they got to go to music halls and auditoriums that fit 10 or 1,000 to 1,500 people. Go look at the residency in Chicago that's coming up. Barely fitting 1,200 for Dynamite and Collision. This is the same company that sold out the fucking United Center on a fucking rumor for their biggest star ever to show up and sold 18,000 tickets on an internet Twitter rumor. Now they can't even fill fucking venues in the city of Chicago that is basically their home away from home. Yet AEW is a resounding success and everything is great in AEW. You're running a fucking music hall in the middle of the summer in Chicago and you're barely fitting 1,200 people. You find that to be a success? Sickos. Not only in name, but in mental health decline as well. Thank you guys for a great video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up. I'll see you tonight live with Jesse on the AEW Dynamite post right here on Off the Script. We'll be live at 10:30. We'll go over tonight's show. Supposedly, Mercedes is heavily rumored to lose the TBS championship. I'll see it, and I'll believe it when I do see it. Honestly, I don't believe it. This close to All In. 10 days from All In. She's going to lose before she wrestles Toni Storm. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. She's defending that title against Mina Shirakawa. We got Kota Ibushi versus Kazuchika Okada. And a Superman collaboration that gives the Beast Mortos another marquee match tonight on Dynamite, which makes it 3 weeks in a row that he's a heavily featured guy in the main event scene. Gee, I wonder why. Thank you guys for a great video. Hit that thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this story with Britt Baker and Tony moving All In back to Wembley next year. And I'll see you tonight live. Also, go check out TNT, episode 101. Great discussion last night with the Solid Monster and I. Go check that out. It's on the homepage. And I will see you live tonight with Jesse for the AEW Dynamite post right here on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.